Hello Raptors fans, and welcome to Raptors Report. Today we're going to be discussing the NBA playoffs, and specifically the opponents that the Raptors could face in each round leading up to the finals. Each round presents a number of potential opponents with different strengths and weaknesses, and today I'm going to break down what those are and also give my opinion on how the Raptors fare in each scenario. Let's jump in. The Raptors are in a pretty interesting position as the season restarts, holding on to second place with 46 wins. The Raptors don't really have an opportunity to take over first place, as it would require a perfect 8-0 record and the Bucks to lose every single remaining regular season game. Third place, however, is still a distinct possibility. The Boston Celtics have a record of 43 wins and currently lead the regular season series 2-1, meaning a tie record would have the Celtics take the second seed. The Raptors also play the Celtics in the resumed regular season, a game that has huge implications on seeding. The fate of the Raptors could potentially hang in the balance, as the difference between the second and the third seed is pretty stark. Heading into the postseason, the Raptors have the highest chance of being the second seed, and the potential opponents they face in the first round in this scenario are very overmatched. The first option to play the second seed Raptors are the Nets, who not only have been ravaged by injury, but also COVID-19. Not only will Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving miss the postseason, but key contributors DeAndre Jordan, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Taurean Prince will be sidelined by the virus. Obviously, nothing is written in stone, but a healthy Raptors squad would almost assuredly steamroll the shorthanded Nets if they meet up. Because they are missing so many key pieces, it is more likely that they will fall to 8th, and the Raptors will be facing a less banged up Orlando Magic squad. If the Raptors do face the Nets, I'd say it's a 99% chance that Toronto advances. That brings us to the Magic. The Raptors made short work of the Magic in the first round of last year's playoffs. The Magic have trudged through another unexciting sub-500 win season, with one of their lone bright spots, exciting third-year player Jonathan Isaac, cut down by injury 34 games into the season with a knee injury. It is uncertain whether Isaac will return in time for the playoffs, but he's already one of the best defensive forwards in the league, and has given Pascal Siakam difficulty when they've matched up. Familiar faces Nikola Vucevic, Aaron Gordon, and Evan Fournier are decent players, but should not give the well-oiled Toronto team many problems should they match up, especially considering Vucevic was completely dominated by Marc Gasol in last year's matchup, and Orlando relies on his scoring output to buoy their 24th ranked offense. 95% Toronto advances. After looking at the fodder a second-seeded team would face in the first round of the playoffs, it is pretty shocking how big the difference is in the quality of opponents should the Raptors fall to third seed. We'll start with the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers have had an up-and-down season, looking like a very competent and interesting team in certain stretches, and absolutely terrible in others, like during the 6-game losing streak at the beginning of February, where they lost to the Raptors twice. Malcolm Brogdon is having a breakout year, making the leap many Raptors fans predicted after his impressive showing in last year's semifinals. More impressive is emerging star Domantas Sabonis, a player the Raptors passed over in the draft, who is an incredibly productive big man with a non-stop motor and impressive playmaking skills. TJ Warren, who was mysteriously dumped by the Suns, is a consistent and efficient scorer at the wing, and Miles Turner, while he hasn't lived up to his sky-high ceiling, is still a great 3-and-D center that perfectly matches what the league now wants out of their bigs. The Pacers have a well-constructed roster with talented players, but the back-to-back losses versus the Raptors this season I think gives a good preview of what would happen should these two teams match up. I have the Raptors as a 70% favorite. The 76ers are tied with the Pacers with a 39-26 record, and have one of the most talented rosters on paper in the entire association. The 76ers were a fearsome opponent in last season's Eastern Conference semifinals, pushing the eventual champions to a full 7 games and lost on a buzzer beater. Having said that, they lost key contributors from last season's team. Perhaps their best player in Jimmy Butler, as well as the deadly sharpshooter JJ Redick, among others. Their replacements, Al Horford and Josh Richardson, are talented, but perhaps not the best fit around stars Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. The 76ers are also one of the strangest teams in the league, with a league-best 29-2 home record, but are a shockingly bad 10-24 away from the Wells Fargo Center. This doesn't seem to bode well for them, as every remaining game will be away from the Wells Fargo Center. One big positive for the 76ers has been the emergence of the exciting young shooter Furkan Korkmaz, who is shooting 40% from deep on 5 threes a game, and has hit some massively clutch shots for them this season, with shooting being something the 76ers as a team are dying for. The big three for the 76ers, Embiid, Simmons, and Tobias Harris, have a ton of skill, with Embiid being one of the best bigs in the whole league. And one can't forget the defensive presence of veteran Al Horford. That said, in an eventual matchup, the Raptors have a huge trump card, Marc Gasol. Gasol has effectively stymied Embiid his entire career, holding Embiid to an abysmal shooting percentage in last year's playoffs and keeping Embiid scoreless in 31 minutes in a game this season. The Sixers are tough to call, but I have the Raptors as a 60% favorite in this matchup, due to big advantages in coaching and roster construction. The last team the Toronto Raptors could face in the first round at the 3rd seed are the Miami Heat, although it's unlikely. The Heat have an eerily similar story to the Toronto Raptors. They develop their talent in-house, taking mid to late first rounders, undrafted players, and disgruntled stars, and plug them into the proven Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra system where their skills can flourish. And boy howdy have the Heat made a leap this season. Jimmy Butler seemed to be the piece needed to jumpstart the rebuild, with his jack-of-all-trades skill set fitting in perfectly with the Heat's versatile roster. One player that needs to be mentioned right off the bat is Bam Adebayo. Bam is an emerging superstar who meshes outstanding defense with offensive efficiency and tops it off with outstanding court awareness that nets him over 5 assists per game. Another player that requires mentioning is arguably the best pure shooter in the NBA, Duncan Robinson, who shoots an absurd 45% from 3 on 8.5 attempts per game. Robinson has prime Korver-like gravity, pulling defenses wide open, boosting the Heat's impressive 6th-ranked offense. Super rookies Kendrick Nunn and Tyler Hero have been big pluses on the offensive side of the ball, and wily veteran Goran Dragic has provided much-needed experience and talent. The Heat fit really well together, and my goodness have they given the Raptors problems this season, winning both games they played and embarrassing the Raptors on January the 2nd when they held them to a measly 76 points. The maestro conducting this strangely assembled symphony is the supremely talented Eric Spoelstra, one of the only coaches with potential to challenge Nick Nurse for Coach of the Year. Despite the Heat's record this season against the Raptors, I have the Raptors as 55% favorites. The Heat are relying on youngsters to do a lot of the heavy lifting offensively, and in the crucible of the playoffs, I think you have to give the advantage to the Raptors' battle-hardened Warriors. Now let's move on to the second round. At 2nd or even 3rd seed, the Raptors could face one of the teams I've covered in the previous section. The only new team the Raptors could face in the second round would be the Boston Celtics, and that matchup is pretty likely to happen, as the Celtics and Raptors are the favorites to advance. The Celtics are a fearsome opponent, featuring the star talents of the two Jays, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They figure to be a tough out for any team in the association. The Celtics are one of the only teams in the league with a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense, and they have killer talent at positions 1 through 4. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have made massive leaps over the past season, with both fulfilling their potential as big-time two-way players, and Tatum emerging as a legit first option. Their secondary players, Gordon Hayward and Raptor killer Kemba Walker, are great in their roles as well. Hayward has not come all the way back from his horrific injury a few seasons ago, but he is still a good all-around player, and Kemba slots in perfectly as a guy who can carry the offense at the guard position. Marcus Smart is another guy that deserves mentioning. He's one of the best defensive guards in the league, and he's managed to raise his offensive game enough to demand respect on that end as well. Their biggest weakness are their bigs. Daniel Tice has emerged as the main option at center, and is a very solid defender and rebounder who does just enough on offense to not hurt them. Their bench also lacks a bit of punch, with Enes Kanter being their main offensive threat there. Their coaching is also top-notch, with perennial Coach of the Year candidate Brad Stevens at the helm. The Raptors have had mixed success against the Celtics this season, going 1-2, with a humiliating defeat during the Christmas game, followed by a blowout win in Boston 2 games later. The matchup is extremely tough to call. I say that it's a 50-50 situation, with most of the experts coming down on the side of the Celtics, but I doubt many of them will be too confident in their predictions. Although it is possible that the Raptors reach the conference finals and the Bucks don't, it is very unlikely. The Bucks, by record, are the best team in the league. Transcendent superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo leads a similar cast to last season, with a vastly improved Chris Middleton as his wingman, and the team boasting one of the best defenses in recent memory. Antetokounmpo at 25 has raised his game yet again. He has improved literally every single season he's been in the league, and now scores nearly 30 points per game in fewer minutes per game than he has played since his first season, scoring nearly a point per minute played. He is doing things that you simply do not see. He's surpassing the per-game statistics of prime Shaquille O'Neal in 10 less minutes played per game. Crazy, crazy stuff. And yet, I don't see this as a complete whitewashing by the Milwaukee Bucks. Despite the loss of Kawhi Leonard, the Raptors have defeated Giannis in the playoffs, twice I might add. While you could argue that the Raptors only managed to stave off the inevitable, it is possible that the Raptors' patented Giannis containment strategy could help lightning strike twice. The Raptors have a Costco brand Kawhi and OG Anunoby, who, while not the complete player Kawhi was, is still a formidable defender. They also have the big man tandem of Gasol and Ibaka, who helped bottle up Giannis in the open court and as help defenders. The supporting cast for Giannis is also arguably weaker than last season. Missing are the talents of Malcolm Brogdon, a plus 40% three-point shooter that could punish double teams, and arguably Milwaukee's second best player in last season's conference finals, Brook Lopez, has seemed to have lost his magic touch from beyond the arc and is shooting under 30% from there this season. The Raptors took advantage of Eric Bledsoe's inability to shoot by packing the paint, and he is among the leaders in minutes played for the Bucks this season, so this is a weakness that could still be exploited by the Raptors defense. Perhaps the biggest point in favor of the Bucks over last season is Chris Middleton has finally taken the next step to becoming the necessary second scorer in the Bucks offense. He's now shooting 42% from 3 and is playing the perfect second fiddle to Giannis by being an elite catch-and-shoot player that can score in a variety of different ways. On the flip side, Middleton has a habit of disappearing in big games, which might be the determining factor in a Raptors-Bucks series. I put this as a 55-45 series in favor of the Bucks. Antetokounmpo is a frightening player who has another year's experience, and he might just be too much for the team that put him away last season. And that's my analysis of the Raptors' path to the NBA Finals. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I a homer? Too harsh on the Raps? Or did I get things just right? Hit up my Twitter account @Raptors Report if you'd like to get more Raptors and NBA related content. And subscribe here with the bell icon to be informed when I put out new videos. As always, thanks for tuning in to Raptors Report, your source for in-depth Raptors content.